Rollins here from the AI Author. I'm joined here today with Tenny from Teacher Brilliance, and we are super excited to be sharing with you today a little bit more of a deep dive, as well as a little more of a mile high view about what's going on with AI in business, what we're doing actively right now to help businesses get educated on implementing and really getting the most out of these AI tools that are clearly like all the rage right now with all the talk of Chat GPT and everyone's getting their hands in, and like a lot of confusion and overwhelm around the space too about like how do I actually use this tool for good inside of my business. And so today's conversation and really like kind of dive in is going to be going into like what is AI in business, like how can you take advantage of the opportunity, what are the benefits of it, but also like what are some of the pros and cons that we might be seeing in this space. We'll also introduce you guys to who's interested in maybe like really taking a deep dive over the next few months into a live course that we're going to be doing alongside Kelley and I's program with UC Berkeley Changemakers. We're doing a live course with UC Berkeley Changemakers. It's starting, I believe, next week. We just had our kickoff call a couple days ago. And so with that curriculum that we've been developing over the past few months, we're going to be doing this as a side-by-side kind of run for those in the business world that are looking to really take AI and integrate it into their businesses. So Kelley, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Everyone joining us for the live, how's it going? And if you're here on the recording, great to see you too. Go ahead and drop us a comment if you're here live. Where are you tuning in from? And let us know, are you using AI in your business, Jasper, Chat GPT? Give us an idea about kind of what you're doing with AI right now, and then we'll dive in. But Kelley, want to maybe give a little bit more insights from your perspective about what's going on in AI in business. As a teacher, you've got so much experience on like the classroom side, but you also have your own business too. And so I think you bring a really unique perspective to this field right now for a lot of people.
Yeah. Thank you. And hello, everyone. It's nice to be here with all of you. I also, as you're tuning in and you're letting us know where you're from, I'd love to personally know like what industry you're working in, because that's something that's going to be a big part of this conversation. And as Darby mentioned, I wear two hats. One is a university professor who teaches. I actually teach future teachers, which is interesting. So I'm like deeply embedded in the education and teaching world, not only as a teacher, but being a trainer of teachers. And then I own my own business called Teacher Brilliance, where I help experts turn their wisdom into wealth through online courses and other educational opportunities. And so I've had really two unique perspectives, as Darby shared, with AI, not only as a business owner, and how that's helped my business, and the power that AI has to help business owners and people in different industries really accelerate, I think, what they can do using AI and using the variety of tools. But I also have that teacher hat where, I share with a lot of people, when I first was introduced to Jasper, I was like, oh, this is amazing, as someone who writes my own emails, who creates my own content, who writes my own sales pages. But as a teacher, I was like, oh my gosh, if my college students get a hold of this, I don't even know what's going to happen. But the more that I've actually been able to use AI, and the more, Darby, you and I have really been digging into AI and things like that, I'm actually really recognizing that there is just huge added value all the way around. And what I love about the conversation that we're about to have, and what I love about the work that we're doing with AI in business, is recognizing that, when used the wrong way, I think AI can actually be a harmful tool. I think there's a lot of things that it's going to take away from. But from the education, from the teacher perspective, I realize just how powerful it is to, when used correctly, and when you know how to use it correctly, how much it can actually close a lot of gaps that, as a teacher, I saw with a lot of my students in the classroom. Students struggling with reading, students struggling with writing, students struggling with just, learning how to summarize, or brainstorming an idea for an essay. And AI really can be used in that aspect as well. So I think we're heading into a really exciting time And I think you and I and everyone here that's joining the conversation today is coming in right at that moment to be able to really step into that. How do I use AI ethically, and how do I use it to benefit while still maintaining that authenticity? And I see a lot of people. Hi, Michelle. Michelle and I just got off a 2-hour call together, so apparently she didn't see enough of me today. It's interesting. I've been seeing a lot about Chat GPT being like crashing. Um,
Hmm. Yeah.
and I haven't had that. I'm going to knock on wood. Everyone's like, I can't use Chat GPT. And I'm like, it has not crashed on me at all. So
You must be one
I
of the
think
lucky ones, because like
I,
half the time it's a toss up for me. It's flip a
really,
coin, we'll see if it's working. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
maybe it's getting better, but I mean, it not something that I would rely on for writing my term papers, to say the least.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm having a good time. I'm actually Jasper definitely rules. I'm having a really great time comparing them side by side. And what I'm recognizing is they both have different strengths for different things,
Yep.
which I think is what we're going to find as all of the AI tools start to come out and we really start to be able to hone in. It's like a toolbox, right? You use a certain kind of screwdriver for one job and another kind for another, and I think that's what we're going to be seeing.
Yeah, big time. And with there's so many of these new AI tools like popping up every day. I mean, like when we're running our Gen AI Insider newsletter, it's like, okay, we're purposely like not including everything that's going on every week, because there's so much. There's a waterfall of information. There's so much opportunity. Entrepreneurs and business owners all over the world are leveling the playing field in a lot of cases. It's giving people the ability to tap into these tools like OpenAI, and create their own apps and create like people are making competitors to Jasper now, or attempting to. People are creating different variations of apps that are built on OpenAI that like Jasper's not necessarily going to like be able to do, because it's not what that company is focused on directly, right? So they're like writing and like content creation is a pretty content creation is a very broad term in general, which like writing, art, that sort of thing. And Jasper's very, very good at a lot of things in its own corner, but there's such a huge field of AI that I'm seeing, and like so many different use cases that entrepreneurs are finding and testing out. And I want to give an example of a way that we're just discussing this on a mastermind call earlier today about like what are some opportunities for ways to like really make some cool products based on this tech, also keeping the ethics in mind. Like let's take Twitter for example. Like nobody likes spam bots. Nobody likes getting hit up by 50 people in their DMs every week trying to sell them the next NFT. It's just junk, right? And there's they're trying to get that stuff filtered, but there's also benefit to automating like chatbot interaction when it makes sense. So an example that was brought up was like targeting, like using like Zapier plus maybe like OpenAI to figure out how to target keywords that can put you in front of people that are talking about conversations that are relevant. Now, there's a way to do this and spam people a bunch of unwanted links, and that's the bad side of what people can do and will do with this, unfortunately. But then someone brought up a really neat, unique idea where it was, well, what if you do something like that, but instead of like just spamming links to try and just do whatever like with your affiliate stuff, what if you instead were doing like brand reputation and brand like building metrics where you're targeting these keywords to engage with your audience and do it in like an authentic way, and using maybe a customized app that you build to get your brand in front of more people without necessarily taking your time or your team's time to scale up because it's tech. So interesting use case, one of thousands that we're going to be seeing. But like, I just think that was a good example that brought to mind, like, okay, you could use that for bad or good, depending on like the ethics behind it. And that's why the first week or two of this course are going to be like really focused around the ethics of AI. In that nature, I'm curious, Kelley, are there some things on your front that you have seen like on that in the realm of that conversation that kind of come to the forefront of your thought? And I've heard of schools banning Chat GBT already, like in New York. I saw an article about that. So I'm curious kind of to hear what you think about like how AI is like getting banned in the classroom, like where teachers are seeing like the ethical issues of it right now, and like how what we're doing with the Changemakers program is going to help hopefully, push that conversation in a good forward direction.
Yeah, well, I really think honestly, when we're looking at that perspective, and I don't think I think potentially businesses may not be that far behind. Like I certainly see there being some businesses or some companies that are like employees cannot use Chat GPT to write your report, right? Or something like that. So, but I think the issue behind that is just lack of understanding. I think that I've shared with you, and for those of you that don't know me, I have two kids. I have a seventh grader and a fifth grader, and they are both very familiar with Jasper and Chat GPT. And my seventh grader is like, I love this tool. Like it's amazing. But for example, last night my 10-year-old had a math problem that none of us could understand what was being asked. And so I put it in Chat GPT and I was like, let's see if we're even on the right track, right? And we were. And so I think when we see schools banning and things like that, I think the issue at hand is that they are not educated in terms of how can we help our students use this as a tool that is going to actually supplement the work that they're doing. And I think there's just that misunderstanding around what the capabilities of Jasper and Chat GPT are. I mean, I think for any of us that have ever tried to produce something like a large piece of content, let's say like a research report, as a teacher, it's pretty obvious, for example, that like a seventh grader didn't write the research report that Chat GPT cranked out, right? And I think one of the biggest things, and I know we're going to address this a lot in our course, is recognizing that when we use these tools, we have to teach and we have to like modify the product that we're asking for. So whether you're the owner of a company, as a teacher, like I'm going to ask for certain things as a teacher. For example, in a research report, I'm going to ask for quotes. I'm going to ask for citations, right? I'm going to ask for pieces of evidence. And Jasper and Chat GPT, from what I can tell, are not yet able to accurately produce those things. I actually, again, I tested it with my fifth grader. He's reading a book and he had to write an essay. And I put in Chat GPT, on what page does this happen? And Chat GPT was like, I cannot answer that. Right. So there's still those things that I think, and I just read a great article around, and it's in this week's newsletter actually, around how a lot of schools that are embracing it are just recognizing that they have to shift, right? They have to shift what they ask for in a research report. They have to shift what they ask for example, on a test. It's no different than the calculator. For any of you that remember hitting that grade level where you were all of a sudden allowed to use a calculator, math teachers, at least in my school, math teachers were like, yes, use a calculator, but you still have to show your work, right? So that the calculator wasn't doing all of the thinking for us. It was just a tool that would maybe help us add more quickly, or things like that. And I think that's how we can utilize these tools. I think that's the key. And so I think when we see schools banning, I think they're either just not coming at it with that perspective, or they just don't have a deep understanding of how it actually can be a beneficial tool that can close a lot of gaps, I think, for a lot of students.
Yeah, and I think it's probably a different way of like thinking when you're approaching these tools. Well, I know the way that I'm approaching when I talk to Jasper is different than how I would talk to like just the average person, because it's like it's an AI. I'm like, hey, do this, do that, don't do that, like blah 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 blah. Like be very demanding and very straightforward, but like it's a style of communication that if you understand where the tool fits in best with like the entire process of your research paper or anything that you're building out that's going to have like credible like researches and citations behind it, like there are multiple elements that go into this process, and so there is a lot of critical thinking that's still going to be involved. That if you just leave it all up to the AI and don't put the critical thought behind it and don't make the choices every single time that this is the way I want it to go, that's the way I'm going to direct it this way, and otherwise, then I think that's going to end up like hurting some people, because you're going to have access to these tools and you're not going to be flexing those muscles anymore. And in some cases, like there's going to be people that are going to get left behind because they're not adapting to how to talk to machines the way that we need to talk to machines to get this type of output, and where do they fit in our processes so that we can be more effective with it, so we can automate mundane tasks. And I mean, it's such a new technology, and like with any sort of like tech revolution, as they're saying, like the AI revolution, like a lot of stuff is going to change. Like a lot of like jobs are going to get shifted up, and this is like the time to like be looking at how can I like learn and develop and like hone new skills that I'm going to be able to use and make myself more valuable, and not just get replaced by someone that's just going to push buttons with it. And a good analogy I heard the other day was like, you're not going to feel comfortable flying in a plane if you just know that the plane's flying itself and the pilot's there, but he still has no idea how to like press the buttons. Right. Like, you know, that's not cool. Like if shit goes sideways, then you're going to want somebody that's behind the dashboard that knows what buttons to push. They know why to push those buttons and understand what to do when the buttons don't do what you want them to do, which is still what happens with Jasper. Like Jasper still messes up sometimes. And like, you need to be able to identify what caused it to go off track and back things up and, you know, make it go forward in such a way that you want. And I mean, that's a lot of what we do inside of our community at the AI Author. The trainings that we teach on just like writing books, like it's very similar. Like, okay, you want to start with an end destination in mind. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's build the outline. Let's do our research. Let's know our avatar. Like these are all things that you can help in brainstorming with the AI. But again, like you're still the person that's going to be making the choice and pushing the buttons. So it's still going to fall on your shoulders. And I think that's why people are so excited that they can now like not have to be a great professional writer to just be able to get a quality blog post out. Now they can get in the seat of like, okay, now I can be an editor. Now I can direct it, and I can still get to the end result that I'm looking at, just in a different way than it would before. But that's what happens, I guess, when, you know, we have to adapt to a new technology like this. It's really just going to change the way that we work.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, again, like to your analogy of the pilot, you know, it's like also a pilot needs to be there in case the automatic pilot goes off track, or right, unless something happens. And that's what we see a lot with Jasper. You know, I know is like, oh, it's kind of, you know, going down the wrong path. Like, how do we redirect it and things like that? But I think you're absolutely right. You know, like to me, going back to the calculator, it's like, if you know, if you have somebody who, for example, applies for a job and is like, no, I'm not going to use a calculator anytime I need to use math. I'm just going to sit here with like my, you know, my scratch paper and do the math by hand. Like that's just, that would never fly, because it's just not an effective way to work. And I think that's what we really want to embrace. You know, I know that there's a lot of concern around, like, especially with education, but I think in general, just, is it plagiarism? You know, is there really someone behind this blog anymore? But, you know, to your point, the answer is yes, right? Like, you know, there is critical thinking that goes behind what you put into Chat GPT and Jasper. There's, you know, there's critical thinking and being able to read it and say, is this really speaking to my audience? Does this really have the components that it needs to have? I certainly have asked Chat GPT simple questions and it's given me the wrong answer. So, you know, obviously I need to have enough common sense or enough critical thinking to be able to say, like, this answer doesn't seem right. I think I need to go fact check it, or I need to kind of break that down. And so, you know, that whole, I think, misconception behind, oh, they're just going to do all the work, they're going to do all the writing. I don't think that's the case at all. But I do think that, and I have seen it, you know, obviously be a really powerful tool for anybody who wants to learn how to use it in an ethically and, you know, with that critical thinking approach, because it really can help us all be more productive and more efficient with, you know, what it is that we're producing.
Totally agree. And it reminds me, like, we're wrapping up the last day of this. It was like a 2-week writing experiment that I was putting on with Ofer Breyer from impro.ai. They do like micro coaching using AI to help like get people like results in a very bite-sized manner. I think it's a really great approach to, especially the trend we're seeing in just like micro courses, micro coaching, like micro content, like much more consumable and helping people get results versus just overloading people with information. The first 2 weeks of the course were about like how to think about constructing like unique thoughts and having the thoughts come from you versus having the thoughts come from an AI, which Ofer says is like, I hadn't really thought about it like this, but Like AI is very much a generalist. Like say, call it a smart generalist if you want. It knows a lot about a lot of content, and that's great for a lot of things. But it's also like going to spin a lot of stuff together. It sounds good, but it doesn't really go much beyond the surface level. It's not really unique because it's taking content that's already been created, right? And it's putting these, you know, the neuro linguistic processing NLP stuff, or however, whatever the technical term is for like the machine learning and the language processing, natural language processing. That's, I think it's something else. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Going off in a rant here. Sorry, guys. So the first 2 weeks of that entire experiment, which we got recorded, it's going to be available inside of our AI author membership here next week for anyone that wants to go through the same process. I've learned a ton from it. And a few of the key takeaways were, you know, like if you just let Jasper or any AI do the thinking for you, then like you're going to, like, without sounding like too harsh, like you're going to get dumber because you're not doing the critical thinking that is like creating unique content. You're just going to be doing more of what everybody else is doing, and it's never going to stand out from the noise. Just because we can write 50 blogs a day doesn't mean we should. And so like there was a very back and forth, like playing catch, if you will, with Jasper process, where you come in with an idea for a topic, you come in with a few key points that are from your own perspective. You're using Jasper to brainstorm 6 questions: who, what, when, where, why, how. Like come up with different ways, positive and negative ways that you could ask these questions to get the brain, like you're creating like an ideation machine essentially inside of Jasper, and be able to generate ideas and filter through ideas at such a rapid pace that like we've never been able to do before. But then you plug those ideas in with things that you bring to the table. And so that's why like the main focus in like getting just like the map out for a blog post, a course, a book, whatever, it can be applied to anything, is like, okay, I've got the idea for the topic. Great. Jasper can help me with coming up with questions, but I need to know that I'm an expert on this, this, and this. And these are 3 things that I know like are that I can expand on that are part of this topic. And then it was a matter of like, okay, well, because of this, this happens. Jasper, what do you think? And Jasper give you something, say, no, that's not good. Bring it back. Let's go about it again. And now we were forming different variations of sentences that Jasper was now taking our thoughts and then giving us more ideas, more ideas. You decide which ideas that Jasper comes up with, actually connect the dots in your head, and then you can start expanding out from there, expanding out from there. And we were using a mind map to do all of this. And you could see like, oh, I can connect this idea with this idea and this idea. And while Jasper might have helped me come up with a few pieces here, there's still a few core elements that are only going to come from you. And that's what's going to make the content unique. And so like I'm blown away by the process behind, and like the why going through such like very particular steps was so important. But then it started to click for me, like after I went through it a few times. And so we're going to have a recipe coming out soon. It's going to help people do this like super, super fast. Of course, we're going to have a recipe coming out for it. But you know, again, the key takeaway that's taken like out of like 3 weeks of going through this sort of course is like, you have to do the thinking and you have to make the choices. And Jasper can still do 80% of the work, but it's that 20% that you're bringing, the 80-20 rule, that 20% that you're bringing, Jasper helps you take it the rest of the way. But you have to do that thinking first, or else you're just going to get bland. You're going to get general, and your content's going to always stay at that surface level. Whereas we want to connect on a deeper level. We want to really have that content that is unique. And that is what I'm really excited for, like teaching over the next like few months, and like helping the whole community, Berkeley, people going through this course, people part of our community, like thinking and approaching AI in this sort of way, like is going to be the skill set that everyone's going to need to learn how to do. So like, this is the time to start doing it and start practicing and just get better, writing with Jasper.
Yeah, you know, and I've seen a lot of that. I saw a couple posts pop up. I don't remember what platform it was on, but it was around like Chat GPT not having the right answer. You know, and it was really interesting to me that like I think it went as far as to say like, don't use Chat GPT because the answers aren't always correct. And it's like, well, you know, of course they're not. And to me, it really sets apart, right? Putting my teacher hat back on, you know, when we talked about the calculator, you know, many of us use things like Cliff Notes, right? I didn't read one piece of Shakespeare. I couldn't get through it. So like, thank goodness for Cliff Notes, right? But there's always been tools that have been there to help, right? To support reading, writing, whatever it is. And there's always opportunity. And, I'm saying this as an educator, for people to just not do their work, and you, Chat GPT is basically an AI version of, the smart person that people used to pay to write their papers. Or, today in the world of Google, I'm pretty sure you could Google any kind of essay and find something, right? So, this whole fear around, kids aren't going to be producing work, or, the content isn't going to be authentic or anything like that. There's been enough tools around. There's been enough ways for a very long time for people who don't want to be authentic to not be authentic. And I don't think the birth of Jasper or Chat GPT is going to change that. Many of us probably, and I'm speaking for myself, but I'm going to assume I'm not, alone here. When I'm going to write a blog, where do I start? I Google the topic I'm thinking of. I see what other people have written blogs about. I look at other points that people have made until I go like, okay, yeah, that's a good perspective. I like how they pulled that in. And I'll use the health industry. I could go to Jasper and say, write a blog about health. But that's probably not going to help me reach my target audience, right? Because my target audience might be men, it might be women, it might be teenagers, it might have to do with menopause, it might have to do with diabetes, it might have to do with losing weight, right? Like there's so many nuances in all of our areas of expertise that you're right. Like we have to still come at it with our critical thinking. We have to be the ones that put the prompts to lead, to the creation of what we want to produce. And so I don't think it's ever going to be this thing that replaces. And if it is, it's going to be very transparent. So, I definitely think that this is the time to learn how to harness it. I think as more and more AI tools come out, the people who have learned how to use it and harness it in a powerful and effective way are going to end up being the people that are standing out in the industry.
Yeah, still need the human interaction. It's a great point. And honestly, I mean, even like the top copywriters, David Deutsch, John Benson, like that I talk to that use these tools actively, like they love them and they've been using them for so long because of the ideation, the creative aspect of it, which, I think one of the first questions that came out, like as AI started like really like blow up, is like, okay, like, well, it's just killing creativity. It's like, no, I think it's actually a catalyst for creativity. Mm-hmm. And here's why, right? You've got an endless amount of ideas that you could come up with, perspectives and all of this sort of stuff. But if you're not like brainstorming with somebody else, or like me and you, Kelley, we're going to talk, we're going to brainstorm, we come up with ideas, right? Well, now we have Jasper, and now we can literally like brainstorm endless ideas and like, oh, that's a bad idea, oh, interesting. And I never would have thought of that. Let me take it to the next step. Right. And like, I see that as like a lot of businesses right now, even it's just like, it's getting you the ability to have your team just like become ideation machines on steroids for whatever sort of content you're looking to produce. Which, I mean, that's just going to open up more opportunities for different companies to, scale up in different ways. So I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And what I'm finding to that point too, when we're talking about like, what does this look like in business? One of the things that, I know is I work a lot of times with people and with students on really honing in on their like zone of genius. And so, for example, I have someone that, we're working on a project together. She is like an editor and a writer to the T. Like that is her strength, right? Mine isn't. Mine is more in that idea creation. But both of us have been able to use Jasper for our strengths. She uses it to brainstorm. I type my ideas in and see what it comes up with, and I smooth it over, right? And so we're both able to utilize it to both, let's say, produce a blog. But given our strengths, Jasper is able to balance the other part out. Her with, Jasper gives her the ideas and she can go writing. For me, I plug the ideas in. Jasper helps me with the writing. So, I think that's the other piece is I think that these tools are so diverse that when you're looking at it, a company, right? When you're looking at employees, recognizing that every employee, everybody in the business has their strengths and their weaknesses. Jasper and these AI tools are a really great tool that they're all well-rounded to be able to support whatever that weakness may be. Where again, it might take someone an hour to brainstorm 5 points for a blog, but if they can accelerate that with Jasper and then use their own strength with writing or whatever it may be, then yeah, I think it's a home run and everybody's able to produce more, everybody's able to work more effectively and efficiently. And so I feel like it's a win all around. It always really surprises me, when we see that huge resistance against using it at all, because I think we have to embrace like the fact that we're not all great at everything, and these tools can really only um close those gaps, really help support us in the areas of the things that we can't do.
Yeah, it's something to that point that I'm seeing from like different business owners that are looking to like get their teams using this is like, how do I effectively train? Like someone was filling out a survey the other day, and it's one of the things that they said was like, how do I use these tools to like train my teammates in their own like respective ways? Like just to your point, there is you might have like it's not all only focused on Jasper, right? There's so many AI apps and different things that we can use stuff for, and so I think this is a great time for, if you haven't already been thinking like critically about like what does like the entire process of a workflow look like these tools to like make it glaringly obvious that like, oh, we're spending how long coming up with ideas for blogs? Well, what if you could cut that time into like a fraction of that? Like what would that lead to? Like how much more bandwidth would your teammates have if they weren't doing these tasks that like, sure, you could hire someone else to do it manually, but like that's like hiring another person out of your company. It's doing all the stuff that goes along with that versus having an already competent teammate that can say, oh, well, hey, I just got this app for you. It can help you do this, plug it into your workflow. We just save you 5 hours a week. Oh, wow. Like, what are you going to do with those 5 hours to work on higher value, higher leverage tasks across the board? And so, I mean, it's really like, if you're looking at everything that you can do with Jasper, and specifically in this case, if you're looking at like all the possible things you can do with Jasper, you're going to get overwhelmed, and you're going to probably just get AI overwhelm paralysis, or I call it prompt paralysis. It's like, oh my gosh, there's all these prompts, but like I don't know how to get the right one to do my thing. Well, I would just recommend you just like focus in like really specifically on one really dialed in outcome that you're looking for, and just work things backwards from there. Whether it's writing an email for cold prospects, an email for following up, just we got tons of training on our YouTube channel as well for free that just goes through a lot of these different processes. But just start working through adding like a tool like Jasper to streamline one of your processes. Get it dialed in, turn it into a recipe, train your team on it, save the hours, and then move on to the next one. Like don't try and do all of them at once, which is why we're not doing this course in like a 3-day workshop. There's just too much to cover. And we're going to be like actively implementing things every single week. So by the end of it, you're going to have an entire portfolio of things that you can use for your business, but you're actually advancing your skill every single week. And in this case, we're going to be meeting with you live every week because it is a live course for everyone that is joining us, UC Berkeley or the AI business side of things. Like it's very easy to hit a roadblock, but working with, let's just put a plug for myself as a Jasper expert, is like working with someone like myself inside of our community. We have open floors and group calls and workshops where we can literally like work through these type of problems together with you. And just having that to be able to extend like your abilities with Jasper can save a ton of time and teach you how to also advance your skill set. So in light of that, Kelley, kind of walk people through because this course is going to be available after we go through it live as well for more people to enroll. This is our first round doing it in the spring semester. So can you walk people through kind of like, I don't know if you want to share the curriculum or anything like that, but like what you can take this course on your own if you want to by following this, like these sort of like processes and what they feel like. But what can people expect if they're interested in looking at taking like a 7-week course on this that's starting on February 8th?
So yeah, I'm really excited for this side of our program, to work with amazing people that are watching us and that are part of this conversation, because I think this is really where the game changing is going to happen. And the program that we're working with at UC Berkeley is called Change Makers, and I think that this is really what we're doing. It's really recognizing that industry wide, whatever industry you may be in, whether you are a sole business owner or you are a small business owner and have a team, there are so many diverse ways to use Jasper for so many different things. And what I'm most excited about with AI in business is, as we work through, like you said, hand in hand. I mean, this is really going to be like hands-on workshop style. We're really all going to be discovering really the power of Jasper when it comes to, for various foundations, and how that relates to people who are in the health industry. How does that relate to people who are book coaches? How does that relate to realtors, accountants, right? How does it play out in all of these different industries? So, the first week um, of what we're going to cover is really just this, like, what is AI? Like, let's look at the big picture. Let's talk about how it works. We're going to spend some time talking about the future of AI, which I think is our biggest pain point. If we really start that conversation around the future of I think we all need to recognize that we either need to get on the train or we're going to be left at the station. The whole Chat GPT and now OpenAI's partnership with Microsoft, right? Like, now we're seeing all of these, like, it's all coming really quickly. And I know we shared with our UC Berkeley students the other night, we started creating this course well before Chat GPT came out, right? And so this was something that we knew, I think, was coming, and that we knew was going to be a game changer for a lot of people. But now that's just all accelerated. And I don't know about you, Darby, but I'm kind of like, what happened? Like, we were, ahead of the game, and now we're just like right in the middle of it, and it's not slowing down. I've had at least 3 people, I think, on LinkedIn that have reached out, and they're like, I have a tool like Jasper I just created, can you try it? And so we're about to be inundated with all of these different AI tools. And just like the calculator, no one is going to hire you, as an accountant if you're like, yeah, but I just need scratch paper. Like, I don't use, calculators. Like, this is the wave of the future. These are the tools that we are going to be using on a consistent basis. So, we're going to dive a lot into the future of AI and what's happening right now, like recognizing how many different industries are already using AI. I know for many people, Chat GPT was kind of the one thing that, like, made everyone poke their head up and go, "Oh, AI, like, it's Chat GPT." But really, like, there's just been so much AI that's already been happening in different industries. And again, if you guys haven't subscribed to the Gen AI Insider newsletter, like, we've had many conversations about this in the 4 issues and that we've produced so far. And I think it's a really great way just to stay on top of that conversation, to stay in the know. Um, but we've seen it in healthcare, for a long time. We've seen it in the automotive industry. We've seen it in retail. Like, it's been around us more than I think we actually realize. And so it's kind of interesting when people are like, "Oh, AI," it's like there's a lot of things that are being run by AI that we probably haven't even recognized. And so, um, it's nothing that's new, and it's things that, again, like, a lot of different industries have already embraced. And so the first week is all about that, right? It's all about, like, how is it applicable to us? What's happening in the AI world today? And most importantly, what are the benefits? We know that there's a lot of naysayers that are happy to tell us about, potential downfalls, but what are the benefits? And more importantly, how can it help you in your business, in your industry, whether you're the solopreneur or you have, a company with 50 people? How can it help you with efficiency? How can it help you with accuracy? How can it help you with, production? And so that's week 1. And then over the next 4 weeks after that, so weeks 2 through 5, we're going to be focusing on what Darby and I believe are the 4 core pillars of using AI. And that is using AI with writing and content creation. We're going to talk a lot about like what are just the foundations of good good writing, and that's where like the human piece comes in. Like, they can produce a written blog, but like if you don't have a good foundation in like good writing skills and writing ethics and how a blog should be structured, we can't depend that our AI friends are going to be able to do that accurately. So what do we see in good content writing, and how can we use Jasper and tools like Chat GPT to produce alongside with us good pieces of writing? We're going to talk about sales. How can we use Jasper as a sales tool? If you haven't dived into Jasper yet, Jasper has so many templates and so many components that just help that whole sales writing process, right? Video sales letter, all of the amazing recipes that you've created, Darby. We're going to be going through those and utilizing, how can we have Jasper help us with sales, and how does this look in your industry, right? So we're going to be able to really dive deep, and that's what I'm most excited about. Is it's just not a week about sales, it's about like what does it look like in your business, with your audience, and really being able to develop those skills to produce the product that we want. The third pillar is marketing. How can we use Jasper to help us with marketing, everything from blogs to SEO, and things like that. And then lastly, how can we use Jasper to help us educate, recognizing that in every business, there is room for education, whether it's educating people about your product or service, whether it's pre-education, filling in those gaps in knowledge that people need before they can come and, look for someone who does what you do. But again, we have done so much around just using Jasper for things like micro courses, creating ebooks, that I think it's going to be a really fun few weeks as we move through and learn how to use Jasper with those individual pillars in your, specific industries. And like you said, walk away with this entire portfolio of being able to say, look at all of these things that I've created for my business, all with the help of tools like Jasper.
Yeah, and it's not theory, right? At this point, like you're not walking into like a classroom and saying like, oh, I'm going to go spend the next, semester of my life like learning like in theory how to like become a lawyer, but like I'm not going to be able to practice it for whatever. Like just as an example, right? Like this is very much you're going to be learning, and as it is with like learning these tools anyways, there's no better way to actually learn and get better than by doing the work, which is why there is homework. There are weekly assignments, and we expect everyone that's going through this course to be able to dedicate a minimum of 5 hours a week to showing up to the call, to doing the work. And if you want to do more, great. But the thing that I'm most excited for, and I think like you echo this as well, Kelley, was like that we're going to be working hands-on. We're going to be working and applying and doing it specific to everybody's business, because everyone's business is going to be unique in some way, shape, or form, right? You're going to be serving a different customer. You're going to have a different niche. You're going to have a different primary like goal that people are trying to achieve, and how your product, offer, or services help them get to that goal. We're going to be able to help you create that content. And a lot of people like still to this day that have had Jasper since the Jarvis conversion AI days. I still not, it's not like it's every single day, but I still get people saying like, I've had the tool, like I'm on the unlimited plan or something like that. And I'm not using it anywhere near to its full potential. And they're in this, like, how do you get from like, I'm not sure to like, I'm confident and I'm like crushing it with my content using Jasper. Mm-hmm. Well, there's a lot of ways you could go about that. This is one where if you want Kelley and I's help and assistance in doing it over like the 7-week time span, then this would be a great place for you. If you're looking for more like a deep dive workshop, something like super hands-on, like in like a day or two type of like thing, then like that's a separate big deal. You can hire someone to work with you one-on-one for that. So just to make sure it's very clear that this is going to be over live a 7-week period. We are going to be meeting every single week. We are going to be having like homework assignments on stuff that you're going to be creating for your business that you can use and apply, and hopefully like use it to like get more customers and clients right there and then, create better, more effective blog workflows, save yourself time, make yourself more money, take that time and money that you now have and go and do stuff that you want to do with it. Hang out with your friends, family, play Xbox. I don't really care what you do with it, but you know, like there's so much time that we can get back from being able to use these tools effectively. That the time that you're spending and investing, putting into learning it will pay itself off if you do the work. I can't guarantee anything in life, but like I've seen enough people like go from like, I have no idea like how to use Jasper to like, aha, like one little thing. And it's like off to the races, a brand new person as a writer. Just because like, you know, like a few little things here and there can just make the thing click and, you know, change the game for how you create content.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, I shared earlier on this call, I've turned my kids onto it. And, you know, my 10-year-old, his brain, like he's the kid that always asked everything, right? Like, why is this? Why is that? Why is that? And he's still, you know, to that day. And so, you know, he had for example, he had a homework assignment where he had to come up with like two traditions from other countries and how they celebrate the new year. The poor guy had already been, you know, he'd already spent like an hour on his homework doing other things. He comes out of his room. He's like, I need help. I have to come up with 2 other countries that celebrate New Year. And he's like, I'm going to go Google. Right. And being his mom and knowing him, I was like, this kid's going to be on Google for like 2 hours. Like he's just going to go down the rabbit hole of all the Google, of all the different things. And I'm like, how can we accelerate that? So we got on together. We used Jasper. We asked Jasper to share 10 other New Year's traditions in different countries. Jasper listed them, you know, like nice and organized. And I told him, I said, pick 2 and then go research those. Right. So like Jasper didn't write his homework. Jasper didn't write his paragraph for him, but Jasper definitely helped cut that time that would have taken a 10-year-old to Google search all of these different things before he would even decide on which ones he actually wanted to write about. And that's what we're talking about, I think, right? And I think we're all in that whole like, yes, let's save time. If I could save 2 hours, you know, I'd go on a hike, I'd go for a run, like I'd play Xbox, right? Like whatever it is I would do, we are all for how can we produce more in less time, recognizing that that time freedom is what so many of us work for. It's why we're in business. And I think the powerful part of this program is recognizing that you can do it on your own, but there's going to be a lot of questions. Am I doing it correctly? Am I using it to its full potential? Am I creating product that other people are going to see as authentic, you know, and structured correctly and quality? And I think those are a lot of questions that people have when they're trying to utilize and learn the tool on their own. And just knowing what I know from, you know, from course creation, it's those questions that become barriers that actually keep people from producing the things that they want to produce. It's that doubt. And so I just love what we've created because I think it's just such a powerful container for people to come and learn and not only utilize and produce, but to get that reassurance and build that confidence of peers to be able to say like, yeah, that's amazing. And if I was looking for that, you know, that blog would have me signing up for a call right now.
Yeah, no, it's going to be such a great group and like cohort based. I mean, like learning in a group setting too, like people are going to ask questions that I never would have thought to answer. And,
Yeah.
you know, but by going through this whole process over the next 7 weeks, I mean, we're going to learn a lot too, like, as a result of it, by going through this with these different groups that we're working at Berkeley, as well as our own. So super excited for what is going to come out of this and what everyone going through this is going to come out of it with, because everything, of course, is going to end up trickling back down to what we're doing and supporting in our communities, and just how we're like working with Jasper and developing the product to make it a better product. I saw a question about what's the biggest difference between Jasper and Chat GPT. Well, besides that, Chat GPT is like a very limited interface. It has that kind of chat interface. It could see reference back. There's some cool stuff you can do with it. Very limited. Jasper has loads of templates that they've already like pre-built and made that have all different marketing frameworks, ads, blogs, creative story. I mean, you just go on their site and they have bunches of examples of the different templates that they have to offer on the template side. But biggest difference by far is boss mode, in my opinion. If you're using Jasper professionally, if you're creating any sort of long form content, then boss mode is going to give you that the power to do so in a much more streamlined manner. Recipes are really like the game changer when it comes to boss mode. Not everyone necessarily needs recipes in their business, but if you're doing consistent, repeatable, scalable things with content creation, then recipes can certainly help streamline that process and help you create better content faster, create long form content like Google Docs on steroids, kind of. And that is something you're not going to find the same thing with Chat GPT. Now, I know that they're coming out with a pro version of Chat GPT at some point. I really don't know, what that looks like. Yeah, that's a very good point. Chat GPT, it is free. It's also down a lot, and you're going to be paying for more tools in that sense pretty soon. But guess what? Jasper Chat is also free. So if you're just interested in that chat interface and getting your feet wet with AI, try both of them. Try Chat GPT, try Jasper Chat. Like they're as far as right now, at the time of this recording, January 26, 2023 at 3:52. This could be totally irrelevant in 3 minutes, but both of these tools are free on the chat side. But again, if you're getting into it, you're getting used to it, you're testing things out, that's great. Especially for like longer form content and like really scaling up workflows, that's where boss mode shines and wins.
I'm also going to say, with Jasper as a business owner, I would like to say that I learned a lot about different types of, pieces of writing and content because of Jasper, because of the templates. I think a lot of us, and you mentioned this earlier, a lot of people are like, yeah, I've used Jasper to write blogs, but, I don't use it every day and things like that. But there's a lot of templates that Jasper has, like the PSA template, the video sales letter, the AIDA framework. Like those were things where I was like, what is that? Because I'm an expert on curriculum and course creation. Like I'm not a sales expert. And so I think that really is where Jasper rises above. There you go. Yeah. Jasper rises above Chat GPT. So, if you haven't seen the back end of Jasper, these are all of the templates that live in there. And so, like email subject lines. I'm not great at writing email subject lines. Like that's not one of my strengths. Writing a headline. There's all of these just great frameworks that I didn't even know existed because I'm just trying to build my business. I'm not sitting on, sales workshops and how to write better email copy. Those are things I don't have time to do, but Jasper's proven to be a fantastic assistant when it comes to being able to produce different types of content because of the templates that it's built in that are inside of it. And I really think that's why this course is going to be so powerful, because I think a lot of these things to many people, are new and are foreign. And so not only will we be able to help them, learn what these frameworks are, for example, and why they're so powerful, but we'll actually be able to help them walk through and create the copy that is, like you said, using those critical thinking skills. I saw Jim chimed in with this aha moment, right? Getting better at asking the right questions. And that's what this course is really all about. You don't know what you don't know. And so that's a big piece of all of us being able to work together. And like, Jim, you might come up with a question where Darby and I are like, oh, that's awesome. Like that really made it, narrow down on what we were looking for. And so I think it's also going to be fun that it's an opportunity from all of us to learn from one another as well.
Big time.
Yeah.
Also, another difference that I'm just going to highlight in terms of like, obviously I'm Team Jasper. If it's not clear as day. At this point, I am the first customer after all, but Jasper is investing so much into like team and product development and making sure that their product is like up to speed and it's not crashing on you and it's not overloaded because people are just flooding. And obviously like chat has a different, it's free. Like it's everyone in the world is trying to log on. It's got a lot of traffic, but But Jasper, one of the main things from the get-go that they've been investing in is the infrastructure, is to be able to handle this type of capacity as they grow. Because I mean, they just raised what 25 million at a $1.5 billion valuation a few months back, and like just a lot of that is to go into supporting like the development and growth of the product, and to continue to bring new templates, like you see, like we were just highlighting right there, like developing new workflows and templates. So you've got the question about creating like sales nurture workflows. Well, you can certainly do that, and that's where I would use probably something along the lines of like boss mode and recipes, depending on like what your workflow is, because templates are going to be very good for like really like identifying, I want this output, this type of thing, and I'll get that. Cool. Now I didn't have to think about like the prompt or series of prompts or like frameworks to reference in. Jasper already helped me out with that. That's great. But Jasper also did recently release their AI workflows thing, where they have like different email things that I'll just show you, because it's easier to show than not, like how you may be able to customize some of these with your existing workflow. And again, like going through a course like we're about to start is like, this is where we'll help you actually customize and building out your workflows inside of here with everything that we're learning. But these workflows, let me see, new document. If you wanted to just start from scratch, you would go here to boss mode, and this would open up what might be intimidating if you've never been into boss mode before, a blank document that Jasper can start to talk and give you all sorts of information. And generally it takes some time to build up to boss mode, right? You start with the template, start with kind of workflows and getting used to the tool, and then you'll start to gradually move into it on more advanced levels. Also a lot more time saving sides of things. But if you go here to like the workflow section, Jasper's in steadily building out these different workflows that are kind of the bridge between templates and boss mode, where you could say, okay, I'm going to write let's say an email campaign. So I'll start a workflow. You just open it up inside of a workflows tab, and it's going to open up here. You'll see boss mode here on the side, but you might say, hey, Kelley, you want to give me like an example of a company that we might want to use? Like if you have one off the top of your head, I'm happy to use one.
Maybe like a health and something like with health and wellness.
Let's call it
Health and wellness, healthy living. Yeah.
Living. So we make great products that help people live their best life, right? Tone of voice, happy. So inside of this workflow, there's step 1, step 2, step 3 pain points, tone of voice, email, subject line. And so you basically would just go through each section of here, generate that sort of content. And then once you've got the content that you might want for like a company description in this case, you could regenerate, or you could click next, or you could go into the next section of the workflow. So maybe say like healthy living. Now Jasper's helping me brainstorm. Healthy living goes, I'm on a mission to make great products that help people live their best life. We believe in happy, healthy living and work hard to create products that make it easy for our customers to feel their best. From yoga mats to essential oils, we have everything you need, right? So Jasper's starting to help you brainstorm, what would you need for like a company description? What would you need for a target audience? And just as we're coming up on time here, I'm not going to go through the entire workflow. As you can see, like this can translate into a recipe. You can customize your own workflows, what you do on a regular basis with Jasper. So again, if it takes you 30 minutes, maybe an hour to write a company email that you're sending out to your newsletter subscribers, what if you could like write the same quality, if not better quality, in like 10 minutes instead of 60, right? Like what, like would that be worth like spending the time to create the workflow to get that level of output consistently? In my experience, yes, which is why we're all about recipes at the AI Author, because like that really is where I believe you can unlock the full power of Jasper. But it all starts with the building blocks. It all starts with understanding, okay, this is the 101. This is a Jasper. This is how it operates. This is how I can approach it. This is what I shouldn't do. This is the best way to approach asking this type of prompt in this situation, right? As you can imagine that like this is new to a lot of people. And so like it makes sense that it takes time to learn these skills. And ultimately it just comes down to consistent practice and like working with the tools and not giving up, because it might take some people a little bit longer than others to pick up. But once you start to get that like the compound effect of like practice and finding the little tweaks that make all the difference, like you just unlock new opportunities using these tools, which is, why I've been such a fan from day one. And why I'm so stoked to, have the opportunity to work with, a school like Berkeley and their Changemakers program with you, Kelley. Like, this is going to be a great experience. And I think we're going to come out of it with some really great stuff that's going to help a lot of people. And so super excited about kicking this off in a couple of weeks, and would love everybody here who's with us live watching the recording. If you're interested in going through 7-week curriculum live with Kelley and I on AI and business, working with us every single week to develop content, get better at Jasper, master Jasper for content creation and growing your business, then I'd encourage you to consider applying for this course. Quite frankly, we just want you to be able to show up and commit to showing up and doing the work 5 hours a week. Like, be there for yourself. We're going to be there for you, right? We're not going to give up on anybody in this course by any sort of stretch of the imagination. We're putting so much into this, and we've been developing this course for months now, since September of 2022. And we're going to be bringing it all, stuff that, you're literally not going to be able to find this stuff anywhere else in the world than right here. And so if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, if you'd like that support to be with a cohort, then go on over to the aiauthor.com/AI-in-business. It's on the screen right now. Check out the curriculum there. If it makes sense, go ahead and apply. It takes 2 minutes to just fill out a quick application. And from there, we'll take things to the enrollment stage. And we're going to be hosting this course inside of Circle. So when you do decide to enroll, if you do, after you make your payment for the course, you're going to go in and be introduced to our Circle community. Now, that Circle community is going to be where all of our live events are, our links, our group discussions, connecting with other people inside of the course, and having direct message access to Kelley and I for keeping up, every single week in the course, submitting your homework, getting that direct feedback. And just working on using AI inside of your business to get better and, scale things up. So that's all I got to say about that. Well, we're kicking things off on February 8th and be meeting, I believe it's 4 to 5 Central Time every Wednesday for about 7 weeks. And we'll love to have you join us if this sounds like it's something for you. I will go ahead and post a link here as well.
Yeah. And, I just want to add, I hope everybody recognizes that, the investment in the course isn't just about learning to use Jasper, although I think that's going to be one of the most, beneficial pieces. But we've really set it up, with people like you in mind, recognizing that, your time is valuable. And so that's why we've set it up workshop style to help you actually create content. So not only are you going to walk away with the confidence and the skill level of using Jasper and how to utilize it to its full effect, but you're going to walk away with blog articles. You're going to walk away with email sequences. You're going to walk away with video sales letters. You're going to walk away with an ebook, solid lead magnets, right? So just for that alone, I'm hoping, honestly, I have time to work along with you, because I'm I would love to have just this full portfolio of product for my business, and a bunch of different sales, marketing, writing pieces, blogs. And so, this is just a great way even to set aside that time for content creation. And, now we just know that it's going to be that much better content, and you're going to work that much more effectively because we have that tool with Jasper. But, it really is going to be a great opportunity to not just learn, but to produce and to walk away with a lot of new materials that you can use inside your business.
Absolutely. So guys, just made a post for the link inside of the chat. Again, theaiauthor.com/AI-in-business. We will be closing enrollments on the 7th. That's the last day. Or if we hit capacity as well beforehand, then we'll make that known on the website. But otherwise, thank you all for being with us here live, watching the recording. Whether you join the course or not with us, we are here at the AI Author to bring you the most advanced training, education, and community around AI and content creation, and also in generative AI. We recently launched a generative AI newsletter that is all about, especially if you're really just kind of curious what's going on in the space, or you just want to keep up with the stuff that's happening. We've got a bunch of rock stars in our community. Jim was one of our contributors this week, had a great piece featured in the newsletter. But every week, every Thursday, we're releasing a new newsletter on what's going on in Gen AI. What do you need to know as it relates to monetization, making money with like your content creation and all sorts of stuff in that space. So for that is theaiauthor.com/GenAI. There's just a quick video of me giving you like a minute video of me giving you an overview of it if you go to that right now. But otherwise, guys, we'll see you guys inside the community. Subscribe to us on YouTube if you haven't already, so you get notified whenever we're doing more of these lives. And good luck writing with Jasper and creating this content with AI. It's an exciting time to be a part of this industry, and yeah, super excited to be a part of it and being in a position to help bring this information to you guys and creating this content to help lift us all up. So until next time, guys, y'all stay safe out there and take it easy.